Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. What a weekend we've got. I think Man City are favourites, but we'll get into that in a moment because first of all, look at that. Look at that. Now take a look at that. This is what you've got coming up this weekend. Super Sunday, Liverpool against Manchester City, but also not only have we got a race for the title, we've got a race for fourth place as Aston Villa host Spurs as well. Lots to talk about, but let's talk about Liverpool against Manchester City. That is a league table if you've not seen anyone before. Teams play each other across the season, get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and nothing for a loss. And this is how it looks in early March. Liverpool are top as they entertain Manchester City at Anfield. Although, by the time this game kicks off, I would expect Arsenal to be top because they play on Saturday night at home to Brentford. So, look, it's all tightening up at the top, and we love a bit of that, don't we? I think Man City are probably favourites going into this, and I think we should put them as favourites because you know what? They don't want to be favourites. Pep don't want to be favourites. He'll be there going, I don't think we are favourites. Let's respect Liverpool. Bullshit, Pep. You know, you've won 3 titles in a row. You've had this going on for years. The 1-1-5. We all know you're a dominant juggernaut and your favourites. And Michael Oliver's the referee. He needs to know Man City are favourites. Liverpool need to put them as favourites and galvanise themselves and that crowd and make sure that they're intimidated. Because what Man City love to do and what Pep loves to do is shake everybody's hand and go, we're all friends. It's all close, and then his team just gets to express themselves. They don't like it Upham, and that's what needs to happen on Sunday. There needs to be an atmosphere. They need to be intimidated because I think if you look at Man City this season, their vulnerabilities really are when they come up against a good defence and a team that can counter well. And that is something that I think is within Liverpool's remit. How this game is played is fascinating to me. Most teams against Man City are going to do what Man United did last week, what Everton did, what Chelsea did. You know, defend deep and compact and then look to counter quickly. And this is something that Liverpool may or may not do. It's a home game at Anfield. Will they push up to the halfway line and try and impress their style of play? And I think they will. I don't think Liverpool are going to sit too deep at home against Manchester City, but they must be classed as favourites. And I'd love to know what your comments are on this, but they have to be classed as favourites because when you look at Manchester City, their injury record is abysmal this season in the sense that it's opposite to everybody else's, whether it's Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, Spurs. So many teams have had numerous injuries at specific times this season. Man City haven't really. I mean, De Bruyne was a miss, but you know, you look at that Man City side and you look at their front six, it will be Haaland, it will be Foden, it will be, you know, probably Doku on the left, Foden will play off the right, De Bruyne, Silva, Rodri. They've got people who can come into that as well. They've got loads of centre-backs. Ederson's fit. They are favourites because they are the holders of the treble. They are the holders of the Premier League. They are still the favourites to win the Premier League. And they've won 3 in a row. And they don't really have any injury issues. Liverpool are almost limping into this. You know, Salah will be back. I think they can construct a front 3, probably of Salah, Nunez and Diaz, and at least they've got Gakpo on the bench. They've got an option on the bench, and I think their midfield could be quite interesting. He could start Szoboszlai and play Endo and McAllister. Maybe he won't do that. Maybe he'll keep one of those on the bench. And defensively, obviously, you know, you've still got Robertson, Van Dijk, Kelleher will be in goal, no Alisson. So, look, Liverpool aren't at full strength. Even if they were, some players are coming back from injury, but the atmosphere's got to be big. And look, ideally, I would love a draw because I think it just compresses everything at the top. If it was a draw, then Arsenal and Liverpool would be joint top with 64 points if Arsenal beat Brentford, and obviously Man City would be a point behind. I think if Man City go and win this, I'd expect them to take the title. You know, you put them out in front, I don't think anybody reels them in. If Man City were to lose this, I mean, that would give Liverpool a 4-point gap, and it would give Arsenal, if they win, a 2-point gap, and it just changes the complexity. It's just so fascinating, and I can't wait for it. And of course, we'll be doing double watch along on Sunday, but I think Man City have to be classed as the favourites because they just don't have the injury. They do have the momentum, but then I wouldn't even be concerned about that. I think there's something about being an underdog that can inspire. And I think Liverpool are better off coming into this knowing that it's a game they can't lose. And you add into the you add into the cauldron that this is going to be Klopp's last Anfield game against Pep. This is Klopp's run down to the end of his career at Liverpool, and all that needs to come together perfectly on Sunday. They can't be intimidated. They've got to get after them. And look, what I will say is the referee is going to be really important. Man City and Pep Guardiola have been the masters of manipulation when it comes to referees for years. It was the same at Barcelona, and I presume it was probably the same at Bayern Munich with Pep. He ain't stupid. They know when to play the early foul. They know how to avoid yellow cards, and they know how to get yellow cards for other people. They know how to swarm the referee. I mean, I was watching the Manchester derby last week, and they were swarming the referee for all sorts. If a shot goes anywhere near somebody's chest, handball, and they're running around. They're very cute at doing this, and the referee, who I don't particularly rate anyway, has got to be wide open to this, because I tell you what, this Premier League title is already on the line when it comes to corruption. Well, corruption may be a strong word. Integrity is the better word. Because if that was the end, if Man City win the league by a point, I just don't think this league means anything, because we know what happened to Liverpool. And if Man City win it by a point over Arsenal, I don't think it means anything, because we know what happened at St James's Park when Gabriel was pushed in the back. So, look, there cannot be a big decision on Sunday that goes controversial. There can't be any of these penalties that Man City have had in the past, like when Rodri, Højlund hardly touches him and he falls over and it gets reviewed for a penalty, and we've never seen a penalty given like that before or after. We can't have any, offsides that, oh yeah, it was offside, but we did give the goal to them. We can't have any silly handballs being given that, no one else gets. They've got to get this absolutely spot on. And look, Man City fans are going to go crazy about this, but you haven't had any massively big decision go against you. You talk about Grealish one-on-one against Spurs. One, that was a refereeing error. It wasn't VAR. And two, he wasn't going to make it anyway. So, irrelevant. Man City have had a lot of good decisions go their way this season. They've, and we don't want that. Either way, I don't want it. I don't want to see a big decision. I don't want to see it levelled out either. I don't want to see Liverpool getting a big VAR decision and Man City suffering because of it. I just want to see a proper game where two teams go together. Get your comments in below. Which way do you think it's going to go? I think for the good of the league, we don't want a Man City win. As I said, a draw would just keep it nice and tight. That's probably what I would like, to be honest with you. My prediction is I think Man City are favourites. I really do. Moving it down a bit, Aston Villa against Spurs should not be forgotten. Spurs have got a game in hand on Villa. If they were to win that, they'd be 2 points behind them. Fourth place will get you Champions League football. This fifth place thing is up in the air. And it's up in the air because, look, at the moment, the top two teams get an extra spot. The top two countries get an extra spot. Well, England's not in the top two at the moment. It's Italy and Germany. And when you look at the results and the way that they're going, Brighton are going to get knocked out by an Italian team. So, Newcastle and Man United went out before Christmas. So, fourth place is guaranteed Champions League football. Fifth place may not even get it. So, Tottenham against Villa, there's been this feeling that we will get an extra spot and therefore both Villa and Spurs will get it. But I wouldn't be taking that for granted, which makes this game even bigger. Villa at home to Spurs, and fourth place, is there. Now, if Villa were to win, that gap becomes 8 points, and Spurs, even with the game in hand, it's 5 points. If Spurs were to win, they're 2 points behind with a game in hand. So the differential on this is massive. I can't pick this. I mean, look, check out the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football. I'll drop the link in the description. We did a combined 11 of Villa Spurs, and it's probably get in the comments if you want to do one, but it's the hardest combined 11 I've ever done, because from every single position, there's, Porro Cash, Vicario against Martinez, Digne against Udogie. All the way through the team, there's some really good differentials all the way through the midfield. The only one that's probably easy is Son on the left wing and Ollie Watkins up front. But yeah, they are both playing really, really well. I really can't call this one. But I tell you what I will say, get in the comments and give us your thoughts and give us your combined 11 on the two. I can't call it. I'd say Villa at home, but Spurs, are a good side. And I think it's going to be, massively interesting. And I just can't wait for Super Sunday. We're going to be live for both of these games on That's Football, back to back, 1 o'clock through till about 6:30. Can't wait for it. Don't forget to check out the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football, brand new one out today, previewing the weekend, and Goldbridge and either ors and all of that. And I'll speak to you on the next one. Make sure you smash a like and get your comments in below. Speak to you in a bit.